Okay, so basically picking back up where we left off yesterday as far as stuff that we're talking about. We ended yesterday talking about Pope Leo III granting Charlemagne the title of Holy Roman Emperor. And this is important and significant because this made Charlemagne's empire essentially the size that it did. Okay, Charlemagne had very heavy influence in Italy now, and on top of all of the ground and territory that he had conquered by defeating the Slavs and the Lombards and the Saxons. And so this is where Charlemagne's empire sits at. All of this red, this light red. If you look over here, there's a little bit more of a division of how that actually breaks down because obviously he had to break down his rule and give other people power and authority through the system of feudalism. But Charlemagne actually tries to take them out of this feudal system, tries to restore more wealth across his empire, tries to restore education and all that stuff that we talked about yesterday. He even started to print money. He tried to restore old Roman law when he became Holy Roman Emperor. He gave more power and authority to the Pope when it came to dictating certain policies. And so when warfare was starting to become more and more popular amongst the Europeans and knights were being heavily used, there became a big problem with being able to identify who was on what team. Okay, but the first thing we need to address is talking about this pledge called homage. Homage as the loyalty pledge they would take to their individual lords, and should they break that loyalty pledge, they would lose all of the money and the land and the things that the Lord was providing for them. And so, in an effort to try and make sure all the knights would fall in line when the lords called them to go to war with them, they made them pledge and take this pledge called homage. And it was just them to say, hey, I am loyal to this individual lord, which also increased the Lord's power because they would have entire armies at their disposal, kind of like how in the old Roman Empire they would have entire armies at their generals' disposal. And so knights were more loyal to their lords than they really were to anybody else. Okay, but the lords in return were also very loyal to their king, and that's why the system of feudalism would kind of work. Okay, but on the battlefield, there would be a massive need for identification because knights on both sides would oftentimes look very similar. As you see in this picture right here, knights could be dressed in basically the exact same type of armor, same color, same everything, okay? And so it made it really difficult on the battlefield to try and figure out who was who, okay? And so in an effort to try and clarify all of this, they decided to start making identifying marks for each individual knight in each individual territory. So they created this thing called heraldry. Okay, and heraldry is what you see over here on the right. They were just symbols that were used to displayed on shields, and they were displayed to show loyalty to certain lords, and then eventually to certain kings. They were designed to represent characteristics of that manor and that individual lord. Their purpose was so they could actually identify different soldiers during the battle because it was very difficult trying to identify people in the heat of battle without taking all of your armor off. There's many different collections of these different types of symbols to represent manors, as you can see, and there's all sorts of different designs, shields, and everything that's used to display heraldry. And so each one of them is very unique to individual groups of people and individual lords, their knights, their kingdoms. But it did tie you directly to a lord's family, and that was the family that operated that manor, that land, that area, wherever they were from. So you could easily identify where people were from, who they were. Uh, so that brings me to the end of this, and that actually brings me to what you're going to be working on for most of the rest of class. Okay, and this project is going to be due, I believe, if I pull up my calendar right here, if we look, it's going to be due, I think I have it due next Wednesday, the 17th. Okay, so today is Friday, April 12th. So Wednesday the 17th is when that is going to be due. You will have class time probably on the 15th and 16th to work on it, but you won't have a ton of time in class outside of today. So I suggest trying to get most of it knocked out today. Now, here is the sheet that you guys are going to be looking at when you start working on this project. Okay, I'll have this sheet printed off, ready to go for you. But it's a very basic outline on one side of a coat of arms. It's a very basic shield. And then on the back, we have all of our instructions. Okay, you're going to be working on a coat of arms. You'll be responsible for the creation of your own coat of arms. So you're going to pretend that you are a lord and you are in charge of creating the first ever coat of arms for your individual territory, okay, for your land that you control. So what you need to do is try and identify and find a bunch of different symbols that represent you and what your feudal manor, what you want it to represent, okay? And below, you're going to just provide a very brief explanation as to what symbols you chose and why you have chosen these symbols, okay? That's all found right there in the direction. And on Canvas, there is a link that you can use to actually go find all of these different symbols, okay? So if you come here, if we're pretending that I'm you can come over here and we'll get on student view so that way you can actually see what I'm doing. You'll come over here and you'll go to the course links, or you can go to modules, whichever one works better for you. Click on module 5, go down to this week. The current link, I guess I have it messed up right now. It takes you right to week 1, so just click on that link on the home page. And then scroll down. Here's Friday. Here are the heraldry symbols. This is where the video that you guys are watching right now, it's going to be linked right here. Here is the heraldry symbols that you will need. So if you click this link, it'll open up this tab, okay? And then all here is where you'll find all of the heraldry information, okay? So there's going to be different colors, and all these different colors and all these different symbols, meanings, designs. There these things called furs. I'll explain what those are. These heraldic lines and ordinaries, all of them have their own special and purpose and special meaning. So if you come over here and look at their color, gold or yellow means generosity and elevation of the mind. Red means a warrior or a martyr. Blue means truth and loyalty, so on and so forth. Okay, so all those different colors have specific meanings. So if you don't believe in one of the colors, you can't include that on your heraldry. So if you don't like for like let's say hope, joy, and loyalty and love, I wouldn't use green on your guys's coat of arms project. Okay, so then the furs really actually don't have any special or specific meaning behind them. They are actually just strictly for special effect. So if you want to use one of these, you can use one of these. Heraldic lines and ordinaries, again, don't have really necessarily a special meaning, other than right here, walls or fortress of a town, difficulties that have been encountered, fire, water, earth, land, sea, water, clouds, air, all those have different purposes and meanings. And you can use as much of these, or probably wouldn't use any one of these if I was you guys, because this is going to be really hard and difficult to trace. But use these for borders, however you want to use them. But then down here are all the different heraldic symbols. Okay, and these are all different heraldic symbols that can be found throughout many different people's heraldry throughout England, Europe, France, all over the place. Okay, so you scroll through there, you can find all sorts of different stuff. Okay, like this lightning bolt means swiftness and power. If we scroll down even farther, you can see this flower right here means magnificence, okay? So you have lots of options for personalization on all of this. There's a whole bunch of different options for swords. So when you guys are working on this actual project, what I'd want you to do is kind of lay out your design. If you go back to the coat of arms project that I have right here, okay? Go to your design and try and lay out exactly what it is that you want your coat of arms project to look like. Okay, so you can come over here, start laying out your design and designing what you want to put where, and what colors you want to include. Then once you have all that figured out, you can use your Chromebooks and turn the brightness all the way up. And then you can start tracing your individual symbols that you want to use. Like if you want to use this bow, what you can do is if you right click or double click on the picture itself, you can click open image in a new tab, and then should open in another tab. You can go over there, and if you can zoom in on that picture, you can do so, and then you can rotate your Chromebook around, or you can rotate your piece of paper around to try and fit that symbol on your guys's coat of arms in however you want. Okay, so when you're going through this, I'm not going to limit you on what you can include on your designs. If you want to include a lot of different stuff, you can include a lot of different stuff, okay? But it all has to be meaningful and purposeful to you, and you have to try and be able to explain why you have chosen what you chose here on the back of the sheet. So at the very end of class, what I'll need you to do is take that, drop it into the drop box, and then you'll be done. You don't have to do this by the end of class. If you're not done at the end of class, that's fine. Like I was saying, it's not due till April 17th. So you don't have to be finished by the end of class. But if you happen to finish, then you can go ahead and turn that in when you are done. Otherwise, I think that's all I have. Make sure you get your notes taken on the slides that I went over prior to this to help you understand homage and heraldry and the need for heraldry in the Middle Ages. Okay. And one last thing to touch on before I let you guys go. Okay. With Charlemagne creating this massive empire, that's going to entice a lot of people to try and come here because a lot of people in the Carolingian Empire would become very, very wealthy. And so anytime anybody has a lot of money, people in the medieval world are going to try and take that from you. And so there will be some invaders that come on Monday to shake things up a little bit. We'll be talking about what happens on Monday. So with that, don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. See you guys later. I'll see you on Monday.